Cash Global TV subscribe.
Global community, what's the deal? What we own? Today I got some non-biased, non-mainstream news and some conspiracy theories we finna divulge in. Let's get into it. One person never gonna know it all, but as a collective we can figure everything out. Let's get to it. Drop them globes in the chat.
Cash
they're
Global
real,
TV
but
subscribe.
I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Y'all think Obama capping or he telling the truth? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. Spam it up.
Technology that could keep your social media presence long after you're gone. Turns out the only way to keep people on Facebook for life is to remove the life part. A patent was granted in December. It uses AI, of course, to scan all of your posts, your comments, your likes, to make a digital stand-in version of you. It could then simulate your social media activity, including responding to other content from real people, which means that my ex can literally ghost me forever.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Man. Yeah. It may be used, quote, when the user is absent, for example, when the user takes a long break, or if the user is deceased, end quote. The patent says in addition to liking, commenting, and replying, there's some possibility it could even simulate audio and video calls.
Right.
Oh, this is so isn't this awful?
Wait, so how do they know that all of a sudden it just takes over? What does?
Yeah, how would you know that they are not alive
with us anymore?
Probably how we know
but
now.
Why does it,
I think,
do you opt in to say,
yeah,
keep me alive
that's
after
right.
I'm dead?
Yeah, I think you would. They just are patenting the technology to do this. There's we don't know when this is going to be rolling out or anything like that. But can you imagine a world with undead influencers that are still making videos? Like, come with me as we check out the most exclusive restaurant in all of Hades.
And
good, I'm literally dead.
Can you imagine some people who are hiring these influencers, not realizing that person's dead, and they're still paying paychecks?
Mark, you missed his whole big joke.
It hasn't happened yet.
Restaurant in Hades.
Oh, I'm
It
sorry.
hasn't happened. It's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay.
We interrupted you. It's actually totally fair. We had to get Frank's. I saw a thing on the internet. I was.
I've been to Disney World probably 10 times.
Really?
Yeah, maybe more than 10, but at least 10 times. Because Cape Canaveral is right by Disney World.
This makes sense now.
So when I'd have the kids, then I would, my older kids, and we're trying to get the rocket launch from Cape Canaveral, then, the thing they'd want to do is go to Disney World or Harry Potter Land.
What's your favorite ride?
I'm sort of tempted to say Space Mountain, I suppose. Yeah, probably Space Mountain. I mean, I do think Space Mountain needs an upgrade.
It's a little herky-jerky.
It doesn't look quite as sci-fi as it used to.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the day before yesterday's tomorrow, which is still yesterday.
Who do you look up to the
Space Mountain is my favorite ride also.
most?
The Creator.
What's your current position on God?
God is the Creator.
You don't believe in God, though, do you?
Well, I believe this universe came from something. People have different labels.
Scientists just proved that you've never touched anyone before. Your entire life, what you've felt as touch is literally a lie that your brain tells you, interpreting the electromagnetic repulsion of electrons as the sensation of touch, similar to how magnets repel each other just at an atomic level. The object is real, the feeling of touching it is a constructed illusion. Physical contact is physically impossible. Happy Valentine's Day.
Drake released a McDonald's. It is black.
Well, they do say we only see 4% of what's actually going on, and it's a construct of what we're projecting. Also, we know 99% of things. Also, we know 99% of things are not physical. Everything is just light and frequency, so I'm not surprised.
out the brick walls. Coming 217, it's the 217 code we've been looking at with the movie Weapons. That's the order the towers fell. Tower 2, Tower 1, Tower 7 is releasing this new album with the 2 towers on it, and it's cold. Being released on 217, that's the eclipse in Antarctica, where it's cold. McDonald's is releasing this, Where Night Owls Land, on 217. Where Night Owls Land in Gematria, the numerical value is 217.
The Forbes 30 Under 30 founder could be headed to prison for decades. His list is now infamous, featuring names like Sam Bankman-Fried and Charlie Javis. Now you can add Gocha Guven, founder of reward startup Calder, to that list. U.S. investigators have charged her with fraud and aggravated identity theft. They allege she misled investors during Calder's $7 million seed round, fabricating financials, partnerships, and the number of paying customers. As one attorney put it bluntly, beware of fraud masquerading as entrepreneurship. If convicted, Guven could face more than 50 years in prison.
NASA scientists put a cat into zero gravity, its brain completely overloaded. But dogs, when they were sent into weightlessness, it turned out they weren't affected by gravity at all. Just look how happily they move around. Now frogs are a different story. The moment a frog entered zero gravity, its entire world flipped upside down. The poor thing got so stressed that it started spinning in a spiral. And finally, mice. They completely ignored zero gravity. It looks like they decided to create their own gravity.
5 years ago, Facebook shut down its facial recognition system for tagging people in photos. Now, according to the New York Times, they're bringing it back inside Ray-Ban smart glasses. The feature is internally called Name Tag. A wearer looks at you, and Meta's AI identifies who you are. You don't have to own the glasses. Anyone with a public Meta profile could potentially be identified. And in 2024, 2 Harvard students already proved the glasses can identify complete strangers using third-party software. Meta sold over 7 million pairs last year. An internal Meta document obtained by the Times says the current political environment is good timing because civil society groups would have their resources focused on other concerns. They also gutted their own privacy review process. One internal director said the changes would push the bounds of Meta's agreement with the FTC. They shut it down because it was too dangerous. Now they're putting it on your face.
Looking like Kinetic Art, this balancing robot is a learning platform for real-time feedback control. Barbot, created by Johan Link, uses sensors and millisecond-level corrections to keep a ball balanced on a tilting surface. The DIY kit is available for around $150.
Joe Rogan warning, listen.
I just don't think we really knew until we saw those files come out.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, well, there's no denying it now. My position on this completely shifted. I thought there's probably some really sick people that have an appetite for that, but I hadn't seen any real evidence for it until these files. And now I'm like, oh, this is demonic. This is clearly demonic.
Okay, so thank you for saying that. I'm somebody who was raised a Christian and went to Bible school and that kind of stuff as a kid, in youth groups, and then growing up in Central Coast of California, let's say, veered in different ways. Mm-hmm. But the experiences that we've encountered over the last half a dozen years, it's hard to come up with a language to express what we're observing in the world other than the language of theology.
Well, demonic by action. So whether or not demons exist, if they did exist, that is how they would behave. They would prey on children and torture children.
I am happy.
Well, the elites and the 1% believe in that wholeheartedly, and they are praying at the elite and the 1% believe wholeheartedly. So I suggest the opposite side, we believe just as hard. Let me know how y'all feel about it. What's really going on? And did the files expose everything we've been talking about and go Alex Jones, or what?
Happy to see Joe Rogan, one of the biggest podcasters in the world, is starting to believe the truth. After the Epstein files have been released, it is more evident to him that demons are real. The past couple years, you have seen his faith grow stronger and stronger. Anyone that's listening right now, understand everyone's timing is different. But what you must understand is Jesus is coming for his people. Make sure to share this information with as many people as possible. Let them know the truth.
On every single doorbell camera all across America to scan your neighborhood, and they did it without asking anybody. Dude, this is obviously insane. This is what's happened. Ring just launched a feature that's called Search Party that uses AI to scan footage from outdoor Ring cameras looking for lost dogs. That obviously sounds cool. right? If somebody now uploads a photo of their missing dog, the AI will sweep through all nearby Ring cameras automatically looking for a match. And there are currently over 20 million Ring homes in the US alone, which is a massive AI-powered surveillance network activated without anybody's consent. Obviously, a lot of people are upset about this right now because they're pointing out the obvious. If the AI can scan for dogs, it can scan for people too. Ring just ran this as a massive Super Bowl ad, making this look wholesome, but underneath that cute reunion story is obviously a neighborhood surveillance network that was already watching before you knew it was. Obviously, this is coming with a ton of backlash because of everything that's going on in the world right now, but Ring says that you can opt out. But it's the fact that you have to opt out instead of choosing to opt in is exactly why people are furious.
Thousands of bodies.
They did nothing less. They did nothing less but just turn this into an automatic surveillance state. And don't downplay the fact that a few weeks ago they partnered with flock cameras, those cameras that you see downtown or wherever the main part of their city is, black cameras. Yeah, they partner with them also.
A year that nobody claims. Here's what happens to them. When a person dies and there is no money, no family, no next of kin, then the government will usually step in, and they're called indigent or unclaimed deaths. First, the medical examiner is going to do everything they can to identify the person. This could include things like fingerprints, dental records, or even tattoos. They're going to try to find relatives, and sometimes this can take weeks. Now, if no one is found, then the state becomes the decedent's family. No funeral, no visitation, no obituary. It's just a simple legal disposition. Some counties will keep the cremated remains in storage just in case a family member does show up. Others will bury them in a public cemetery, just keeping record of a number. So even when someone dies completely alone, they're not just thrown away. The law still recognizes them as not just a body, but a human being. I'm Brad.
Or they end up in our McDonald's, entertainment purposes only.
And you should follow Fun Funeral Facts to hear things most people don't talk about.
This YC startup is creating robotic cowboys that herd cattle on farms. We're ranking startups in the YC Winter 26 batch, and next up we have GrazeMate. And GrazeMate is building AI drones that can herd cattle. Pretty nuts. It's considered the simplest way to move cattle. So you install GrazeMate onto your farm, which includes a DJI drone, a base processing station and power unit for solar power. Then you set a schedule in their app, you set the paddocks for the gate, and then the drones just go and do the job for you. So their software tracks every single cow that needs to be mustered in wherever you need it to go. And farmers are going to love this, but I'm pretty sure every herding dog is going to be put out of business because these drones will just muster all the cows for you. You don't even got to go out there again. You just set the drone up and it will fly around and do it all. And they even have like some really cool demos in these videos where they show the process and how manual it currently has been in terms of getting these cows where they need to go. The whole process just seems a lot more strenuous, and apparently it can take up to 5 hours a day. Now, with their model, you take the app and then the drones just start doing whatever they need to do. They make noise, they herd them wherever you want them to go. The drones, of course, have AI vision to be able to see what is cattle and then also the state of each cow. So if the cow is calm or if the cow is kind of erratic and nervous, it can tell just through the visual representation of just scanning all of the cows, which is pretty damn cool. Currently, they have 570,000 cows on the wait list. I kind of really love this idea, man. I like when teams are doing things that are out of the ordinary, and creating robotic cowboys to herd cattle is definitely out of the ordinary. For me, it's an S tier idea. I like it. I don't know the cow market or the farming market that well, but this is something where it's like, I like that teams are using AI and robotics and drones, but thinking outside of the box and solving issues that are like very tailored. This isn't something that some person who's pivoting from one AI B2B to another one, to this one, to that one, is going to think of. They don't really have the background to understand how deeply embedded this problem is. These guys do, and that's why they were able to come up with a really cool, unique idea. So excited for GrazeMate. S tier idea, S tier team, excited to see what they build.
Is the point of the Masons. We see all the symbols, the pyramids, the one eye. As a matter of fact, I mean, the last time I was in Washington, D.C., I just was looking at Google Earth, trying to find a place to eat, and I noticed all the roads line up into like pyramids, triangles.
13 of our founders were Freemasons. It's a fraternal organization. It's for men. Started Scotland, London, 1700 time period, and they have their own rituals and processes they work through. They moved about the Cristero War in Mexico. They were behind that. You'll see Jay-Z, famous rappers, or Prince Hall Freemason. But again, think of that, against cross and crown. It's against the church, and it's against right order.
How do you get higher up?
You progress through, and then they reveal the great architect of the universe, which from inside reports, the great architect of the universe is Lucifer.
Strangers once agreed to tie themselves to each other for an entire year with no exceptions. These two performance artists wanted to test the limits of human connection, so they bound themselves with an 8-foot rope and made one rule above all others. They could never touch one another. For an entire year, they had to stay in the same space, regardless of what happened. If one of them wanted to sleep or eat or use the bathroom, they both had to agree. There was no privacy, no escape, and no hiding things. At first, they thought it was going to be meaningful art and an interesting social experiment, but instead they began to hate the experiment and each other. They argued about the purpose, every moment felt restrictive, and eventually they stopped talking altogether, communicating only by tugging the rope. But something strange happened near the end. After all these months of fatigue, after months of silence, they started talking again. They'd become so deeply engrossed with one another's lives that just having each other's presence was a new kind of bond, but weirdly enough built on endurance, not actual affection for one another. When the year finally ended and the rope came off, they said the connection never really disappeared from those last few months. The rope was gone, but emotionally they said that they'd be tied together for life. After the experiment, they untied it and walked away to live separate lives. They didn't keep in touch very much, but despite the challenges, they both look back on that year very fondly without any regret.
Would you be able to would you be able to be tied to a rope with somebody for a year and not go crazy? Let me know. Spam it up. And the Freemason, their symbolism will be the death of them. But this is scratching the surface. This societies that we've never even heard of.
Just like the first government, I feel like I know plugged in people. Never met anyone that plugged in. Yeah. So what is this? He represents no government. He clearly works for Mossad, clearly works for CIA, is in contact with both, and clearly British intelligence. So he's not working for Israel. He's not working for the United States. He's not working for the UK exclusively. He's not working for anybody, really. He's kind of this independent power broker working with a series of other independent power brokers together who form some kind of supra-government above all representative government in the West. So, like, what is that?
A Dollar General employee with diabetes was fired after drinking a $2 orange juice at the register when she began feeling symptoms of diabetic shock. The company said she violated policy by consuming merchandise before paying for it, labeling the act as grazing, even though she later paid for the drink. The dispute escalated into a lawsuit, and a jury ultimately awarded her $277,000 in damages, turning the incident into a widely discussed example of strict workplace policy clashing with a medical emergency.
1 hour ago, DJ Vlad sent out this post on X and he says, "I have a confession. Rock Nation has been paying me to support Megan. They also paid off other jury members to convict Tory. And they bribed the judge too. Jay-Z did a verse for his grandson's new album. They paid off Megan's doctor to lie about the bullet fragments. She was never shot. The LA police are all on Jay's payroll, and it doesn't stop with LA. But you're not ready to hear that part. That Mexican guy who stabbed Tory, who do you think paid him to do that? You already know the answer to that. The 3 Supreme Court judges who denied Tory's appeal, all paid off by the Rock Mafia. Jay also paid Trump not to pardon Tory, even though it's a state case. Trump can only pardon federal cases. But knowing Trump likes to bend the rules, Jay wasn't taking any chances. I can't keep these lies secret anymore. If this is my last tweet, you know who silenced me."
Vlad came out and said he was capping, clout chasing, everything in the middle, trying to say how crazy all of these narratives are. But facts are stranger than fiction. Never forget that. Vladimir.
Yo, what the fuck is going on?
So apparently the Epstein files are driving people towards God. I just had a friend send me a Reddit link posted by an atheist, and it says, "As an atheist, these files are the closest evidence for Satan," and then parentheses, "therefore God." People are actually seeing straight up supernatural evil, and it's leading them to say, "I want nothing to do with that. Instead, I choose the light."
First glance, the USS Gerald R. Ford comes as President Trump decides whether to take military action against Iran. Yesterday, President Trump warned Iran that failure to reach a deal would be very traumatic.
This is the first time in
Y'all think we going to WAR with Iran? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. Spam it up.
Human history, bananas are shipped across the world, pumped with ethylene gas, labeled organic, and people are actually buying it. For effectively 100% of bananas at the grocery store, they are harvested pre-ripe in tropical climates, shipped green under cold conditions so they cannot ripen naturally in transit, then finally at the destination pumped with ethylene gas in a temperature-controlled room. 99% of exported bananas are also of a single variety, the Cavendish. This reveals a deeper issue with the industrialized monoculture system. The Cavendish was selected for disease resistance and logistics, as it could stay green for weeks after harvest, which is ideal for the long shipments and having high yields that look good in grocery stores. This reveals what many see as a hole in the organic labeling, as consumers pay premium prices for organic bananas while remaining unaware that these fruits undergo the same artificial gas ripening process as conventional. Shifting to local and seasonal fruits supports our domestic food system and aligns with circadian biology and ancestral health.
At this point, if you're not going to your local farmer's market, whatever day of the week that is, you're losing and poisoning yourself. And I'm not great at it. I don't make it all the time, but I do better. And I'm also been a vegetarian for about 17 of these good old years.
Is considered the most inaccessible church in the world, situated at an altitude of approximately 8,465 feet in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. It can only be reached by climbing sheer cliffs and narrow ledges. Inside, there are vivid frescoes of apostles, dating back 1,400 years.
Feds once sent free Super Bowl tickets to a bunch of criminals, then completely embarrassed them. In 1985, U.S. Marshals sent letters to thousands of wanted criminals telling them they had just won Super Bowl tickets. There were plenty of subtle hints letting the criminals know something was fishy, but they went ignored. Each letter was signed by Michael Detnoff, which spells wanted backwards. They called a number to confirm their attendance with Mr. Cran, which is narc backwards, and sat on hold as the song I Fought the Law played. On the day of the event, the very excited criminals all arrived at a convention center to claim their tickets, where undercover female police dressed as cheerleaders discreetly frisked the fugitives for weapons before bringing them to another room. When it was time for the big reveal, the host got on the mic and said, quote, "We've got a big surprise for you all. You're all under arrest."
For over 100 years, nobody knew how these huge rocks moved across Death Valley's racetrack playa. It's been one of nature's great mysteries, until recently. Theories ranged from strong winds to earthquakes to aliens. None of them were right. We rented a Jeep and drove out there to see it ourselves. We saw the tracks. Some of them were long and some zigzagged in all directions.
Okay, you can kind of see the trail this rock has left. It's a big rock.
But wind alone couldn't move these heavy rocks such long distances. It turns out the secret ingredient is ice. Death Valley is the hottest place on Earth and the driest place in North America. But as you can see, it does rain and snow here. In 2014, scientists witnessed the rocks move thanks to a rare symphony of events. First, rain fills the racetrack playa in shallow waters. Second, the water freezes overnight. Third, the sun begins to melt the ice. Finally, wind pushes massive floating ice sheets, which have enough force to push the rocks across the desert floor. When it all dries, you're left with hardened trails for years to come. It's a process called ice shove. So no magic involved, just nature keeping us on our toes.
There are celebrities that are wanted by the FBI. So Ryan Whiting is a former Olympic snowboarder that was on the FBI 10 most wanted fugitives list in 2025 for allegedly running a massive transnational drug trafficking operation. He was actually recently captured though in Mexico. Tupac's aunt, Asada Shakur, was the first woman to be named to the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. She was wanted for killing a state trooper in New Jersey and escaping prison. She fled to Cuba, but she died last year being a fugitive. Frank Sinatra was investigated by the FBI for decades for his alleged ties to the mafia and organized crime figures. And even Michael Jackson was also heavily surveyed during his trials, having over 300 pages of FBI files on him. Muhammad Ali was investigated by the FBI in the 1960s due to his relationship with Islam and refusal of the Vietnam draft. And John Lennon was also heavily tracked around then for his anti-war activism. And finally, Diddy was raided by FBI agents in 2024 after being classified as a major public threat and is now spending the next 4 years in prison. Pretty cool, right?
You travel to a continent where you can't sit down, kneel,
kneel, or put anything on the ground. In addition, you also need your clothing inspected before you even go outside, and your boots have to be cleaned every time you come back. Antarctica is one of the most regulated places you can visit, and it becomes obvious from the second you step off the ship. Rule number 1, you can't sit down, kneel, or put anything on the ground. No bags, no gloves, nothing. You can accidentally transfer bacteria, seeds, or pathogens from your clothing or bags. And before you even go out, your clothing and gear will be inspected to make sure you're not bringing in mud, seeds, food crumbs, or anything stuck in a weird piece of Velcro. The goal is to leave absolutely zero impact. Then there's the boot cleaning. Every single landing, you come back and scrub your boots and disinfect them. It's to stop you from carrying something from one site to another. Moving on to wildlife, they have the right of way. Penguins, seals, whales, you do not approach them. You let them move freely. And this is honestly one of the coolest parts. For the most part, animals in Antarctica aren't afraid of humans because they have no reason to be. We had whales popping up just to look at us and penguins that had no problem cutting off our hikes because, again, this is their home. All of these rules are part of the IATO guidelines, and the expedition teams from every cruise company enforce them. The rules might feel intense at first, but once you're there, you realize it's the reason Antarctica looks like this. We're just visitors, and the
So they hold Antarctica to such a pristine condition, which is amazing, and just say, let the Western civilization go to hell. All right.
goal is to experience it without leaving.
Something wild happening in the Philippines right now. The FBI are currently looking for the owner of the universe, and they believe that he is hiding underground in the kingdom of Jesus Christ. Yeah, you see, this is Apollo Kiboloi. He says that he's the appointed son of God and beloved pastor to 7 million people, but authorities say that he's a cult leader and wanted for horrendous crimes. So, take your pick. He's on the FBI's most wanted list for allegedly trafficking women to the US from the Philippines, and local police have been looking for him for months now. But Kiboloi, who was even the spiritual leader for the former president of the Philippines, said that they will never catch him alive. But then, just recently, a staggering 2,000 police raided his Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound, and one of his supporters even died from a heart attack trying to defend it. I mean, this place is so massive that they even have their own events arena that has a higher capacity than Manchester United's stadium. No wonder bro believes that he's the owner of the universe. And using equipment that is believed to be able to detect people behind walls and underground based on their heartbeat alone, police found an eerie secret layer 90 feet underground. Reports claim that they are separated into 3 levels to divide women based on their attractiveness. Now, police haven't found Kiboloi yet, but they still believe that he is hiding somewhere at this massive compound.
This is the world's first commercially available robotic centaur. The Chinese startup Limix Dynamics is scaling production of the robot, named the Tron 2, that switches between wheeled, biped, and quadruped locomotion. Limix, which recently secured about $200 million in funding, sells the Tron 2 starting around $7,000.
In normal times, this would be the top story trending everywhere, but we are not in normal times.
Are aliens real? They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it? Area 51? Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless...
Our president saying we are not.
I know something about this or that.
Have you met anybody working on the crafts themselves?
I've met people who've claimed to have worked on them or seen them.
Really?
Least, so yeah. So the question I've had is why, when we had the NASA commission, why was there no section on what astronauts have seen in space? I talked to Alan Bean. He was from Apollo 12. He said that when he went up to Skylab, they actually photographed a red flashing light. Nobody puts lights on satellites. First, you don't need them, and second, it's more weight.
Also, satellites back then weren't doing proximity operations. They were just following predictable orbits.
They weren't changing orbits.
They weren't changing orbits
either. Yeah. They actually had a craft pull up alongside of them.
Whoa!
Half their orbit, and the cosmonaut drew a picture of the object. Story Musgrave, a shuttle pilot, also talked about seeing things like snakes.
Wow.
These things writhing around in space.
Really?
So yeah. This is a phenomenon that people have seen for centuries. This case is going back to the 1800s.
Back to Columbus.
Balls of light coming out of the water, hovering next to the ship, following the ship, and then taking off into the clouds. And that's why I think there's probably bases underwater is your best bet.
Cash Global TV
Facts have
subscribe.
been proven to be indeed stranger than fiction. Let me know where y'all at with everything, where y'all perspective, y'all narratives, what y'all believe, what y'all don't, what y'all want me to dive into in the future. With that being said, I'm your humble host, Cash, capital K, $ for the S. All money and good money, slow motion, always better than no motion. One person will never know everything, but as a collective, we gonna figure it all out. Hit that sub button, bang that like button before you get up out of here.